let's do a 10-minute shoulder prep. For this one, you'll need a scarf, a yoga strap, a belt, one of those loops that hold your dressing gown together. Have that handy for a little bit later on. All right, so starting with the shoulders. Keep the hands down by your side, and you can do this standing, you can do this sitting. I'm kneeling for this, and it'll do just fine. Try and find a neutral spine here. So you might need to adjust your pelvis a little bit depending on how you naturally stand, but a little neutral, and just give the arms a little bit of a shake. I like to make loose fists here, and keep your neck nice and neutral. Isolating the shoulders, let's lift the shoulders up, extending them up towards the ears. From there, keeping them up, using the shoulders only, so keep the spine out of it, draw them back. As they're back, let's sink the shoulders down, depressing them. Really feel for dropping them down, should feel quite nice. Then round forward, shoulders only, avoid rounding through the spine or using the pelvis. Let's lift up again, up, extending up towards the ears. Draw the shoulders back, keeping them up nice and high, a little squeeze together. And sink them down. Let's reverse that movement, so let's send them up. Roll them forward again, keep the spine out of it, sink them down as they're still a little forward, and then draw them back. And resist the urge to get the hands involved. Lift them up, roll them forward, sink them down, and draw them back. Nice. So if you've nailed that, let's take the arms into a T position again, loose fists, and really resist the urge to let the arms do the work here. So neutral spine, neutral pelvis, draw the shoulders up and extending. Roll them forward, shoulders only, no spine if you can. Sink them down and draw them back together. Again, try not to let the arms do the work. Lift them up, forward, sink them down, draw them back, up, forward, down, back, reverse. So let's send them forward, reach them up, draw them back, resist the hands, send them down, forward, up, back, down. One more time in that direction. So you'll notice that perhaps the range of motion is a little bit less here. Perhaps the arms want to get a little bit more involved, or the spine. Resist as much as possible. Really try and isolate through the shoulders. Lovely. Have a little roll through, maybe a little shimmy shake there. You can play with the positions of the arms. So you can take them all the way up. You can reach them out in front and still play with that same exercise as you begin to work through a little bit of that mobility of the shoulder joint. All right, moving on. Let's use our strap here. And take your strap in both hands, and you're going to play with your distance here. So I would start pretty wide, and you always have the option to creep the hands a little closer together. Overhand grip here. So nice and long through the arms. If you can get those elbows straight, great. And feel a little bit of tension on that strap. So you're gripping and then there's a little bit of pull. Again, we want to keep the spine, the pelvis neutral, and just isolate through the shoulders. So let's have a little play with sending the arms back and forth here, in front and behind. And you'll notice that you'll have a range. If you're noticing that your elbow's bending or you're kind of getting the spine involved to do this, just kind of stop where the spine wants to get involved and play with that area. As this kind of gets a little bit more accessible, you can always draw the hands a little bit closer together and play with that floss this way. All right, so once we warmed up through that motion a little bit, take your hands, you're gonna reach up, neutral spine, neutral pelvis. Take your hands back to that point where you first feel a little bit of sensation stretch through the chest. Check again, you're not tipping through the pelvis. Give your rope, give your strap a little bit of pull. Hold. Really feel for pulling on that strap so we're nice and active through the arms, through the shoulders. Head nice and neutral, match the spine. Okay. From here, let's drop that strap a little further back to that next point where you feel a bit more intensity in the stretch. Check your pelvis, check your head. The spine is staying neutral, so it's shoulders only here. Hold, squeeze, pull, nice and active. And then again, if you can go a little further, find that next point. Check the spine, check the head, everything nice and neutral. You're still pulling, gripping, holding onto that strap. Your arms, your shoulders should definitely be feeling it by now. If you can go any more, let's take one more. Just check your spine is neutral, pelvis, head, all nice and neutral. And we'll release here, nice and slow. Have a little roll through the shoulders. And so you don't need to keep going further and further back. Just play with what your range is and see if that develops over time. So get your strap out of the way. Coming into a tabletop position here. So hands and knees. Set your hands up so that the index fingers are parallel. If you need a little bit of a wrist warm up, you can shift forward and back through planche, or again, check out my 10-minute wrist prep. So this can be done on hands if your wrists are feeling a little delicate. Always have the option to come down to forearms as well. Set them up so arms are parallel. We want to keep the spine nice and neutral, so the chin slightly tucked, again, pelvis neutral. We're going to sink the chest down, keep the arms straight, so we're moving through the scapula only. And you draw the shoulder blades together. And so here, you might be feeling a little bit more of a pinch. So imagine you're squeezing a grape in between the shoulder blades. So if you're feeling that quite high, let's see if we can draw the lower part of the shoulder blades together. So we're getting a bit more of a squeeze in that lower part of the rhomboids. So think about trying to squeeze the pointy parts of your shoulder blades in. Keeping arms straight, pressing through the shoulders. Begin to round a little bit more through the back, and you might feel the sternum puffing up a little bit. Let's go again. So sink into the shoulders, the scapula draw together. Imagine squeezing that grape or marble in between, and sending that squeeze lower through the lower part of the scapula, the shoulder blade. Press through the hands, round through the back. So isolating shoulder again, we've got no spine moving through here, just arms and shoulders working at the moment. Let's go one more time. Draw those shoulder blades together as you sink the chest. Arms nice, straight, solid. Squeeze that grape. And then press up through the shoulders. Let's go one more time for good luck, eh? Sinking in, a little scap, squeeze. And then press up through the hands. Coming off of the wrist, if you need to give the shoulders a little bit of a roll, go for it, a little bit of a shimmy. So feel free to adjust from tabletop, coming into more of a kneeling plank position, or even a full plank position on toes or knees as you progress through that and feel more comfortable with that scap push up. For now, thank you for joining me. hopefully your shoulders are feeling nice and prepped. Take care.